Hello and welcome to another installment of Liberty Nation's Swamponomics videocast. I'm Andrew Moran, Ellen's economics correspondent. Each week, I dive into the morass of top economic news stories and fish out compelling narratives, or I retrieve fallacies that have been accepted as conventional wisdom by the swamp creatures for years. This week, there is no inflation if you don't count things causing inflation. Genius. White House National Economic Council Director Brian Deese recently spoke to reporters, taking the time to blame the producers for the skyrocketing inflation unfolding in the post-COVID United States economy. He ultimately blamed soaring beef, pork, and poultry prices for the decade-high inflation levels. These products have risen 14, 12, and 6.6% respectively since December. Deese said, quote, "It raises a concern about pandemic profiteering, about companies that are driving price increases in a way that hurts consumers who are going to the grocery store." Before we dive into the absurdity of these comments, it should be noted that surging food prices, whether it is meat proteins or vegetables, are prevalent worldwide. It is not only the United States suffering higher food prices. That said, the Biden administration's chief argument can be summarized like this: if you take out the items that are up a lot, troubling grocery inflation would be lower. In that case, the White House or the US government should remove many goods and services from inflation measurements to ensure that the CPI or the PPI or the PC price index do not rise any higher. If you eliminate prices that are increasing, inflation will be lower. That's right. That's gold, Deese. Gold. But even if this were accurate, the latest producer price index numbers show that wholesale inflation is pretty much across the board. Health and beauty products, transportation of passengers, industrial chemicals, machinery, motor vehicles, steel mill products, and residential natural gas. Others have made the case that consumer inflation is concentrated in only a couple of areas, but the US government's own data show that prices are soaring for nearly everything: shelter, energy, food, tuition, automobiles, and so much more. Still, is it so surprising? Not really. It just shows how desperate the administration is trying to dismiss the substantial cost of living increases under the Biden administration. But it is also par for the course for the White House that got it entirely wrong on inflation. The president and his team initially rejected inflation concerns, with Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, as early as February, not seeing inflation on the horizon. Then the White House admitted that inflation would be slightly higher, but not for long. Today, the status quo opinion is that inflation will be hot heading into 2022, and that officials had long anticipated high inflation levels. Fake news. With the 2022 midterm elections a focus for both the Republicans and Democrats, one side will try to exploit the economic pain for electoral gain, while the other side will attempt to downplay the inflationary threat to maintain power. Afghanistan, COVID, inflation, there are so many factors that will likely bring down President Biden and the Democrats by next November. Will his successor solve the inflation problem? Unlikely. It's hard to contain it when $5 trillion have been added to the US economy in a year's time span. So, the next top economic problem for the 46th president, as Liberty Nation has recently reported in months, it could soon be all about stagflation, baby. That's it for me this week. Please read my full Swamponomics column where I discuss Chinese oil reserves, the US debt ceiling, and Federal Reserve traders. Thank you.
Who are we? We are Americans that believe in liberty. We are a project of the nonprofit One Generation Away. We are patriots who apply the founding principles to the issues of today.
And they keep moving the goalposts on us.
We are educators and commentators who love America and the Constitution. Who are we? We are Liberty Nation.